Hello and welcome to Med Evidence Articles, where we encourage community research and education with weekly articles. I'm your host, Benton Loybal, and this week we're talking about why treating anemia can improve life, especially for people with heart failure. Anemia disrupts the body's oxygen supply chain. During the pandemic, we heard story after story about the supply chain. Ships were lined up outside of the port of Los Angeles. There were shortages of electronics, jewelry, and clothing, and prices soared across the board. The main stimulus, COVID-19, was a shock that broke a system of lean, just-in-time manufacturing that depended on precise timing with little wiggle room. And when push came to shove, things fell apart very quickly. One big problem was shipping. Container ships couldn't be processed fast enough, and the ability to move critical items from place to place was severely compromised. The challenge of moving things from where they are to where they need to be is important in the global economy, but life-threatening when it comes to oxygen in the body. When we don't have enough capacity to move oxygen from the lungs to cells and organs, we suffer from anemia. Anemia, from the Greek prefix an, meaning without, and hemia, referring to blood, is when there is a decrease in the amount of red blood cells, the ones that carry oxygen, or hemoglobin, the oxygen-carrying protein inside of red blood cells. Anemia is the most common blood disorder worldwide, affecting roughly 25% of the global population, more than malaria, all cancers, and all mental disorders combined. Anemia is more prevalent in children, the elderly, premenopausal people, especially pregnant individuals, and those admitted to the hospital. Many people have no symptoms from anemia and discover the disorder after a routine lab test. For others, symptoms are non-specific and include fatigue, palpitations, which is a feeling of racing or pounding heartbeat, headache, and shortness of breath. Oxygen is how we stay alive, so complications from anemia include problems with the heart, pregnancy, immune system, and more. For elderly sufferers, anemia also increases the risks of muscle weakness, falls, hospitalization, and premature death. Anemia doesn't have a singular cause. Many conditions and diseases can cause anemia, but doctors often containerize the ultimate causes into three groups: blood loss, low red blood cell or hemoglobin production, or excessive red blood cell death. Within these categories are myriad causes, including vitamin deficiency, inflammation, chronic disease, and bone marrow issues, but iron deficiency remains the most significant or important cause of anemia disability worldwide. If red blood cells are the container ships of the blood, hemoglobin is like the shipping containers themselves. Red blood cells contain hundreds of millions of hemoglobin proteins, which move oxygen from areas of high concentration, the lungs, to areas of low concentration, the cells. They also do the reverse with carbon dioxide, the waste product of cellular respiration, bringing it from the cells back to the lungs for us to breathe out. Vital to this process is iron, which is like the iron in steel shipping containers. Each hemoglobin protein contains 4 iron atoms which bind to oxygen molecules. Iron is the main functional element in hemoglobin, which is why iron deficiency is such a major contributor to anemia. Treating anemia is like trying to solve the supply chain crisis, a long, difficult process. The first challenge is diagnosis. Symptoms are non-specific, and many people are asymptomatic. The second challenge is finding an underlying cause. For instance, anemia from chronic inflammation will have a different treatment goal than anemia stemming from something like bone marrow disease. The third challenge is complications and comorbidities, other diseases that compound the issue. One example is heart failure. Heart failure is a condition in which the heart fails to pump adequate amounts of blood to oxygenate the body. Back to the shipping metaphor, iron deficiency in heart failure is like a drop in water levels at the shipping port, making transporting all of that oxygen even more difficult on top of a lack of iron for containers. This isn't rare either. Around half of people with heart failure have anemia, and most of those are iron deficient. Treatment options rely on the specific underlying disease or combination of diseases affecting a person with anemia. The main options for treating anemia include correcting vitamin B12 deficiency, bone marrow transplants, medications that increase red blood cell production, blood transfusions, intravenous iron, and oral iron. These options become more limited with each comorbidity, and with something like heart failure, there is limited evidence showing improvements with oral iron, blood transfusions, or medications that increase red blood cell production. In these patients, intravenous iron improves hemoglobin and mobility while reducing hospitalization and early death. But there is still a sea of improvement available for different types of iron to be infused. Clinical trials are currently looking at investigational types of iron for intravenous infusion, and with the help of research volunteers, the supply may chain into new treatments for this extremely common disorder. Thanks for joining us on this week's episode of MedEvidence Articles. If you'd like to know more, all of our descriptions are linked in the podcast description below. You can also visit our website at medevidence.com. MedEvidence helps answer the question of who can you trust for medical information. The MedEvidence platform provides valuable information about many medical issues and the insights of evidence-based medicine. MedEvidence educates audiences through engaging and entertaining magazines, podcasts, videos, articles, and presentations. We strive to bring together diverse voices of top-level medical professionals, researchers, and experts to provide unique and engaging content that uncovers the truth behind the data. For more great content, including discussions by physicians and subject matter experts, check out the MedEvidence podcast. My name is Benton, and we'll see you next week.